Today I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on installing vinyl plank flooring. This is a luxury vinyl. We picked it up at Menards. Seems to be pretty nice. I like the way it's installing. I like the way it locks together, and it's fairly simple to do. On my DIY project skill level, I would rate this at a 4. This does not take a lot of skill or experience to install. You just have to make sure you follow the instructions, you leave the proper gap, and that you cut it the proper way. There's a few ways to cut it. It's not difficult at all. So let's get this started. The tools you're going to need is obviously on the packaging itself when you install it, but you're going to need some knee pads, you're going to need a razor knife, and you're going to need a tape measure and a carpenter square, preferably a metal one. Something like this. We'll see that here in a little bit when we go to cut a piece. And you would also need a jigsaw to cut some of the intricate areas of the flooring. So when you're cutting this, you want to make sure that you cut off the right end, because once you cut it, that end will no longer interlock. So what I like to do is take the flooring and orient it in such a way that it is laying here on my table basically the same way it's going to be going in on the floor, just to make sure that I don't make any mistakes. And we're going to mark it at 41 inches. Now with our speed square, we're going to line it right up on our line, use our razor knife, and score it. And we're going to hold that speed square right up there tight. This does not require a ton of pressure. You just need to get a nice score line across it, just like that. Now this flooring does have a backing, so that will have to be cut as well after we snap it. We're just going to bring it over here to the edge of our table, line it up, and then we're going to just give it a little push, and there we have it. And then we'll use the razor knife again to cut the backing, and there we have it. There's our 41-inch piece. These are clip lock planks, and they are pretty easy to install. You don't need any hammers or tools or anything to install them. I like to start this end in right here and get it as close as I can to the adjoining plank on this side. Now we're just going to give it a little push in, kind of make sure that it's lined up this in this manner right here, and it should push in just a little bit more once it is. As you can see, this side kind of went in, so we got a little something holding us here. Now I'm going to lift this plank very slightly and pull in on this one. And there it is. Now it is not fully locked in. We need to come down here. There we go. Locked into place, just that easy. It's really easy when you lift this one up a little bit to help this one get lined up and get into place. You want to make sure these grooves are clear, nothing's stuck in them. I had one the other day from the factory yesterday that had a little hunk of material stuck in here, and it was literally made a little bump on the flooring. It was wedged in there so tight. So you kind of want to check that. When you pull them out too, you need to check all your corners, make sure that nothing's broken or there's no problems there. Now I do have plastic down on the floor, and the reason for that is that there was adhesive on the flooring underneath that there's really nothing I could do about. And this is a floating floor, so I didn't want it to get stuck to that adhesive. It needs to have the ability to expand and contract. So that is the whole idea of the plastic. It will not get stuck to the adhesive, the plastic will. I've carried the same flooring pattern throughout the rooms here. And what I've decided to use is the basic H pattern. I did not go with a random pattern, and there were a couple reasons for that. I was able to control my waste a lot better by using this pattern. My waste pile from all of this is probably 3% because of the pattern that we chose. So as I move from room to room to continue that pattern, I'm using my 4-foot level, and I just lay it across the pattern, and I get my measurement for my next piece in that manner. Now the walls of the room may be tapered one way or the other, not everything's square. So basically, once I come into the room like this, I've already got my measurements for these pieces, and I'm just going to continue with that same measurement, even though they may move a 1/4 of an inch or so across the entire room. No one's going to be able to visually see it, and I'm okay with that. So this is 28 inches, so we'll want 27 3/4. That'll leave us our 1/4 inch gap. I'm going to get another one cut, and we'll get that in. Now the start piece obviously just kind of sits right in. There's no difficulty here. But what you need to be careful of is that you have the 1/4 inch gap that you need at the wall. If you do not have the proper gap, and the floor will bind up against the wall, and at that point it could potentially pop itself apart, or it could bow up. Funny things could happen. It could just, like, you'll notice that it's raising off the floor or bubbling, and at that point you'll know that the floor is in a bind, and that, well, you're gonna have to pull all your trim off and figure it out and fix it. Hopefully it doesn't pop apart. Hopefully it wouldn't pop apart where you would have to pull it all up to correct the issue. Now there's only so many patterns in the box, probably 5 different patterns. I've just been kind of working out of one box. Currently, if the pattern is the same as a plank that's right here, then what I'll do is I will pull out a different plank. So they reverse the patterns on some of these. So this plank right here is exactly the same as the plank we just cut and put in, this end piece, but it's reversed. So if I were to use this, it would be, you know, this would be under the bed. No one would see, but it's still, to me, not a good choice. I want to mix it up. This is another pattern that's in here. I believe there's 5 different patterns. And then this is the last pattern in the box. So this pattern, and you know, when I say 5 different patterns, and then they reverse them, so it's printed on the board one way and then it's printed on the plank the opposite way. So it gives you the option to mix it up or to put planks adjacent to each other that are the same but different. Let's get this next one locked in. Locking in the full length piece is no different than the other piece. We want to get this end installed first and then just lay it down on there. Like I say, keep this gap fairly close. It should push in just slightly, and then we lift it up just a little bit, and there it is. That one is locked in. All Alright, I'm going to keep going. We are here where it's going to be entering into the closet. Now I'm not going to put a thresh across that closet door, and there's the hot water heater right there. So I'm just going to go up to it, and then if that hot water heater ever gets replaced, or when it does get replaced, I'll probably cut a thresh in then, take that little bit of flooring out and complete the rest of the closet, and then just have a little thresh right there across that opening to cover up the gap. But right now, as you can see, I'm not fully locked in here because it won't. It's hitting right there in the slightest, and the gap is not horrible, but it's obviously not a straight cut either. So we're going to get that marked out, and then we are going to get that little piece cut out of there so that this will lock in and have the correct gap when it's finished. Let's get that marked out. This is not all the way pushed in, not locked into place. We want to measure the gap right here, and it's 1/8 of an inch. So this is touching, so we want a 1/4 inch gap when it's finished, and it's going to go in another 1/8. So I've marked this out at 3/8 of an inch. Now the same thing here is there is a 1/4 inch gap already here, but because we're going to go in that 1/8, we're going to remove 1/8 of an inch down here. To get my 1/4 inch on the side, just going to use my speed square, and I've got it marked at 1/4 inch in this way, and then I use my speed square on this side to just line it up with the existing floor cut that's here, because I know that is 1/4 inch. So now we're ready to cut this, and this is going to be done with the jigsaw. So let's go out with the jigsaw and get this cut. I just want to point out I use a wood scrolling blade, and I use the finer teeth or the clean cut. I just look for a scrolling blade with the finest teeth I can find. With this cut out, let's go see if it fits. Okay, with this piece installed, as you can see, we have plenty of room here for movement. And there are a couple of different ways that you can do this. And one way would be to cut the bottom of this off so that the flooring could go under it and you wouldn't have that gap. Now on that side, that would not be an option because of the way that the floor sets down into it. You would have to remove that piece of material, put the floor in, and then put the material back so that the gap is underneath of this wood instead of like this, because this is going to be exposed, so that will have to be taken care of in a different manner. A piece of quarter round or something like that would have to go on there to hide that gap that it needs for the movement. So I've cut this piece to end right there, and it will not go all the way in, as you can see right here. Our gap here is good, and our gap down there is good, but we're hitting in the middle. So I'm just going to take my pencil, and I'm going to start about right here. As soon as it'll get on the flooring, I'm going to just lay it flat against the wall and slide it across through there. Obviously it's got to be better than that, so I'm going to set the camera down, and I'm just going to contour it right there, and then take it out with the jigsaw and trim that off. And when I trim it, I'll trim it to the outside of the line so that it gives me that little bit extra. I can make sure I have that 1/4 inch. I am here at this floor vent, and I need to mark this out to cut it out. Now I'm actually pretty lucky in this instance, because speed square, get in here, draw the line, and then come back this way once I got that side marked and draw the line. Alright, now we're going to go get this cut out with the jigsaw. Alright, let's go get this installed. I am working on putting in the last strip of flooring, and it needs to be trimmed off just a little bit. However, the wall starts narrow here and it kicks to the outside, so it gets wider down there. So I'm not sure once we get into the laundry room, it might be a full piece and a little dinky piece, I'm not sure, but I can see that it just gets wider as it goes. So this one is cut and in fact, that's a straight cut. You can see how messed up the wall is. The wall has got a big dip in it right there and a hump right here. So hopefully the rest of the wall is straight and we can get that in. I do have my table saw here, but because these cuts are narrower on one side and wider at the other, I do not have a sled with me to be able to do that. So I'm just cutting these lengthwise with the jigsaw, not with the razor blade. I have just finished up the last piece of flooring, and as you can see, looks really good. I'm really happy with what we have here. I like this flooring a lot. It definitely brightens the place up, and as you can see, not only is it here, but it runs out into the kitchen as well, and it also runs into this room. You have to excuse the little bit of a mess because I have stuff piled everywhere. My living room is a disaster because everything is out of the bedroom in the living room. So looks really good. I'm happy with it. That's all we got for this time. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider doing so. If you enjoyed yourself, click on one of those two videos that are going to pop up next to me. And remember to always respect the power of your power tools. We'll see you soon.